Hi, and welcome to Section 2, Creating Efficiency with Strings. In this video, we will look at the string data structure and review some of its methods for manipulating strings. We will also write a few short programs to demonstrate use of these methods. Finally, we will review how to load data into strings from an external file. The string class is a data type used for storing sequences of characters. It includes methods for operations on the strings as well as manipulating them. And as you can see by this graphic, it's derived from the object class and belongs to the java.lang.object class. Okay, let's take a deeper look at strings. We know that character is a primitive data type that stores only one character. That's why the string class exists, right? Which is part of the java.lang package, because we want to be able to store more than one character, specifically a sequence of characters. We might use a name, password, an address, things like that, much more than one character. So here is a list of some of the methods that are used commonly on strings. These are all part of the string class, and the names are self-descriptive. Let's jump into some code. This first demonstration simply shows creating three different strings, really in three different ways. The first way, string 1, we're just assigning it within double quotes, my first string. For the second one, string 2 or str2, we're encapsulating that in a set of parentheses. Not necessary, but can be done. The third way is almost an old way, right? It's redundant. You don't need to do it that way. It'll work just fine. The system will even tell you that it's a redundant assignment. On line 8, we have a concatenation where we're creating a fourth string by taking 3 previous strings and a new line character inside quotes and creating one long string. And when we output this string to the console, you can see down the bottom, it prints all 3 lines as expected. Let's look at another example. Here we have a username variable string, and we're assigning neo.anderson@matrix.org as the value. Now, on line 6, we have an output statement where we'll output the username. Line 8, we're going to output the username using the to uppercase method. So it should produce the username in complete uppercase. On line 10, we're going to use the .length method to determine how long that username value is. And then on line 13, we're going to print out the first 3 characters of that. We hope that that will display NEO or NEO. And then finally, on line 15, we're going to print index 3 using the char at method. So let's see the output down at the bottom. The output from line 6 is simply the username as expected. And on line 8, it's all uppercase. We learned on the next output generated from line 10 and 11 that the username is 23 characters long. So when we print the first 3 characters on lines 13 and 14, we're giving the substring the starting value of 0 and the ending value of 3. And it prints out NEO. And as you know, 0 and then 1 and 2, those are really the first 3 index values. So 3 is a stopping point. It's not inclusive. And that's why on line 15, we print out index value of 3, or the character that's at index 3. And you see that that's the period. That way there's no confusion. Strings can be huge. So far, we've dealt with very small strings. This demo program shows how to read a file from your system, from your hard drive. And you'll see here on line 9, we're using a file reader. We have an import statement on line 3 where we're importing java.io.filereader. So on line 9, file reader, my reader, it's just what we're calling it, equals new file reader. And then we put new file, and in parentheses, we put the path. Now, my path is pretty long. That's why it's kind of cut off. Yours will be completely different. And you might notice I am using a Mac, and on the Mac, the slashes are forward, as opposed to on Windows, they'd be a backslash, and then you have to double them because you need to use the escape sequence. Okay, let me get rid of that. So you can see that line 11 is where we have a while loop in there. As long as there's our next line, we're going to echo that line basically to the console. And you can see that this worked. The output is down there in the bottom of the console. So let's try this again. And this time, instead of just outputting it, we're going to build a string. So this code is the same as the last that I showed you. The changes are in the boxes. So we created on line 8 a new string called full text, and I just set it to an empty string with double quotes. And then the while statement, instead of outputting it to the console, we're just adding it to this string. And then lastly, we output the entire thing using the line of code on line 21, and then there on the output string. And the reason that we're doing this is because we want to be able to a large amount of data into a string so we can do searching and sorting and things like that. So in conclusion, we know that strings are a data type used to store sequences of characters, and we know that those characters are of data type char, which is a primitive data type, right? And it only stores one character. We know that strings belong to the Java.lang package, and it's derived from the object class, so of course, as everything is. And then we reviewed methods, and some of the ones that you saw were length, to upper. There's also to lower. There's also a char at where we put the index value, and the index of can take a string or a character. And then there's also the substring where we can input a starting index, and optionally we can also put start and end index. And lastly, we learned how to read from a file.